All right, let's get right into it. How did Nazi Germany actually maintain its grip on an entire nation? I mean, it's a huge question, right? Well, the answers, they're found in the actual instruments of fear that they built. So let's dive into the source material and really understand the mechanics of how they pulled this off.
It all really starts with this one simple, chilling phrase. And this isn't just some dry legal term. No, this is the absolute foundation of the whole system we're about to break down. So I want you to just hold on to this thought, okay? Because pretty much everything we're going to talk about hinges on the incredible power packed into these few words. Okay, so who exactly were the enforcers of this whole ideology? The source material is super direct about this. It's one thing to have an ideology, but it's a completely different thing to make sure an entire country actually follows it. For that, well, you need specific tools, and you definitely need specific organizations. And here we have them, the SS and the Gestapo. Their whole purpose, and the source makes this crystal clear, was singular: enforce Nazi rule. And that's it. These guys weren't your traditional police force, not even close. Think of them more as the armed, living extension of a political ideology.
So you can really think of these as the two main pillars of state control. On one hand, you've got the SS, huge, visible, very much out in the open. And on the other, you've got the secret police, the Gestapo, operating completely in the shadows. Now, even though they were structured differently, their jobs were totally intertwined. Their one shared goal? To lock down the regime's power over every single part of German life.
All right, so we know who these guys were. But that's just part of the story, right? The really crucial question is how. How did they wield their power so effectively? Well, the answer is kind of chilling. It's all in a system of, get this, power without process. And this just lays out the brutal, stunning simplicity of their whole method. I mean, according to the source material, it was basically just a two-step process. Step 1, surveillance. Constant surveillance. The state was always watching, always listening. It turned neighbors into potential spies. And all that watching, created the perfect conditions for step 2, arrest. And here we are, right back at that critical point. Remember that phrase from the beginning? This is what gave those arrests their real terrifying power. Think about it. An arrest with a trial means you get a chance to defend yourself, right? To face whoever is accusing you. But when you just rip that whole process away, the arrest is the punishment. It becomes totally arbitrary, completely unpredictable, and absolutely final.
So what's the end result of a system like this? I mean, what actually happens to a society when you know you're being watched all the time? And people can just be taken away for no reason. Well, it creates something way more sinister than just making people obedient.
Fear. That was it. That was the ultimate consequence. And you could absolutely argue the intended goal all along. The source puts it so plainly: fear, just spread across the entire society. And this wasn't some kind of unfortunate side effect, no way. It was the main psychological weapon they used for control.
Okay, and this is where you can really see how all the pieces just click together. The constant surveillance, that meant literally anyone could be a target. The arbitrary arrests, that meant it could happen for any reason or for no reason at all. And then, the total lack of any legal option, that meant there was absolutely no way out. Put those three things together and what do you get? A suffocating, society-wide atmosphere of pure fear.
So when you kind of zoom out and look at the big picture, you start to see that this wasn't just a random collection of harsh tactics. No, this was a carefully built an architecture of control, a system that was actually designed to feed itself, to get stronger and stronger over time.
And here's the absolute core of it, this self-perpetuating cycle. The actions of the SS and the Gestapo, the enforcement, it created all this fear. And that fear, well, it made people way less likely to even think about resisting. That in turn locked in the regime's control, which just made it even easier for them to keep enforcing their will. It's a nasty, tightening loop with no easy way out.
And all of this leaves us with one final, really important question. We've just walked through the mechanics of it, based on the source material. How you take away due process, you enforce your will, and you create a society that's run by fear. But it really makes you think about a bigger idea, doesn't it? What happens? What truly happens to the bond between a government and its people when fear stops being a byproduct and becomes an official, calculated tool of the state?